There was a time when Amara believed that love could survive anything. She believed it when Daniel held her hand beneath the old mango tree and promised, no matter how hard life becomes, I will never leave you. She believed it when they stood before their families and promised to build a home together. And she believed it even more when, 3 years into their marriage, she discovered that she was pregnant. But sometimes, the person you trust with your heart becomes the person who breaks it. Amara was 26, living with her husband Daniel in a modest but comfortable home in the heart of Lagos. Their marriage had not always been perfect, but there had been laughter, late-night conversations, and small dreams about their future. Then Daniel changed. At first, Amara thought he was simply tired. He came home late. He stopped asking about her day. He kept his phone face down. And whenever Amara tried to get close to him, he seemed irritated. One evening, while preparing dinner, Amara finally gathered enough courage to ask, Daniel, is there something wrong between us? Daniel didn't even look at her. Nothing is wrong. You barely talk to me anymore. I said nothing is wrong. She stared at him. Then why do I feel like I'm living with a stranger? Daniel finally looked up, and the coldness in his eyes frightened her. You ask too many questions, Amara. Her heart sank. A few days later, the truth came out. Daniel was seeing another woman. Her name was Vanessa. Amara confronted him with tears running down her cheeks. Tell me it's not true. Daniel sighed. It is. The answer was so simple that it almost destroyed her. You're cheating on me? Yes. You don't even feel sorry? For what? For destroying our marriage. Daniel stood up. You're pregnant, not helpless. Don't use your pregnancy to control me. Amara placed a trembling hand over her stomach. This is your child too. Daniel laughed bitterly. I know. From that day, Vanessa became a part of their lives. And Daniel didn't even try to hide it. One afternoon, Vanessa walked into Amara's home wearing an expensive dress and carrying a designer handbag. Amara stared at her in disbelief. Why is she here? Daniel answered casually. She'll be staying with us. Amara felt as though the floor had disappeared beneath her. This is my home too. Daniel stepped closer. No, this is my house. Vanessa smiled. That smile told Amara everything. The humiliation became unbearable. Vanessa would complain that Amara's cooking was terrible. She would deliberately leave clothes around the house and tell Amara to clean them. Sometimes she would sit beside Daniel and laugh while Amara served them dinner. And whenever Amara protested, Daniel would say the same thing. You have nowhere to go. You don't know how to do anything. What would you be without me? One night, Amara finally cried out. How can you change so suddenly? You once told me I was the love of your life. Daniel's face remained cold. People change. No, Amara whispered. People reveal who they really are. Daniel slapped his hand against the table. Enough. Amara stepped back. She was afraid, but she refused to let him see it. I have nowhere to go, she said quietly. My parents are gone. I'm carrying your child. What do you expect me to do? Daniel looked at her without emotion. Stay quiet. But Amara didn't know that her greatest heartbreak was still waiting for her. Because Vanessa had begun planning something far worse than simply stealing her husband. She wanted Amara gone. Completely gone. And soon, she would get exactly what she wanted. The storm began on a Thursday evening. But the real storm had already entered Amara's home. Daniel came back from work furious. Vanessa was standing behind him with tears in her eyes. She attacked me, Vanessa cried. Amara froze. What? Vanessa pointed at her. She pushed me and called me a thief. I never touched you. Amara shouted. Daniel turned toward Amara. Enough. Daniel, she's lying. Vanessa began crying harder. I knew you would never believe me. Amara stared at her husband. Please, look into my eyes and tell me you believe her. Daniel did not hesitate. I do. Those 2 words shattered something inside Amara. She tried to explain everything. She swore she had never touched Vanessa. She reminded Daniel that she was carrying his child. But Vanessa kept crying, and Daniel kept choosing her. Finally, Daniel walked toward the bedroom and returned with a small bag. Amara looked at him. What are you doing? Leaving. He pointed toward the door. You're leaving. Amara couldn't believe it. Daniel, get out. But where will I go? That's not my problem. Rain began falling outside. Amara stood there barefoot, pregnant, and completely broken. Then Daniel reached into his pocket. He pulled out a $20 bill. He threw it toward her. It landed near her feet. Take it. Amara stared at the money. What is this? $20. Daniel's voice was filled with contempt. You'll need somewhere to sleep tonight. Amara slowly bent down and picked it up. Her fingers trembled. You're giving me money after everything I gave you? Daniel laughed. You should be grateful. You don't even deserve $1. Vanessa stood behind him, smiling. Daniel opened the door. And don't come back. Amara looked at the man she had once loved more than herself. Then she walked outside. The rain became heavier. Within minutes, her clothes were soaked. She walked without knowing where she was going. Eventually, her legs became too weak. She sat beside the road and covered her stomach with both hands. I'm sorry, baby, she whispered. I don't know where we're going. A luxury SUV slowed beside her. The window came down. Inside sat an elderly African woman dressed elegantly. Her name was Mrs. Evelyn Carter. She was 72 years old and one of the most successful businesswomen in the city. She looked at Amara carefully. A pregnant woman. Crying. Alone. Sitting in the rain. Are you all right? Evelyn asked. Amara shook her head. Please leave me alone. You don't look like someone who wants to be left alone. I have nowhere to go. Evelyn opened the passenger door. Then come with me. Amara hesitated. I don't know you. You don't need to. Evelyn smiled gently. You only need to know that I am not going to hurt you. After several seconds, Amara finally stepped inside. The warmth of the car surrounded her. Evelyn handed her a towel. Tell me what happened. Amara tried to stay strong. But the moment someone showed her kindness, everything collapsed. She began crying. My husband threw me out. Evelyn listened quietly. He has another woman. And your family? I have no parents. Evelyn looked out the window. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she turned back. I lost my husband many years ago. Amara looked at her. I have a large house and most of the rooms are empty. She paused. You can stay there. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Why? Because sometimes life puts a broken person in front of you for a reason. That night, Amara entered Evelyn's mansion with nothing except the clothes she was wearing. She had lost her husband, her home, her dignity, but she had not lost her unborn child. And she did not know it yet. The woman who had picked her up from the roadside was about to change her entire destiny. Months passed, and slowly, Amara began to heal. Evelyn never treated her like a servant. She treated her like family. When Amara gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, Evelyn was there beside her. They named him Michael. The elderly woman became deeply attached to the child. She would hold him for hours. She would tell him stories. And whenever Michael smiled, Evelyn's entire face would brighten. For the first time in years, Amara felt safe. But she didn't want to spend her life depending on another person. So she asked Evelyn if she could help with the business. At first, Evelyn refused. You need to take care of your baby. Amara smiled. I can do both. She started with simple work. Reading documents. Organizing meetings. Checking accounts. Speaking with clients. But Amara was intelligent. Very intelligent. Within a few years, Evelyn trusted her with important decisions. Their relationship became stronger than friendship. It became family. Meanwhile, Daniel's life looked perfect from the outside. Vanessa had everything she wanted. A luxurious home, expensive clothes, cars, jewelry, and access to Daniel's money. But Vanessa didn't love Daniel. She loved what Daniel owned. Little by little, she convinced him to transfer properties into her name. It's just business, she would say. Daniel trusted her. He had once betrayed his wife because he believed Vanessa was better. Now, the same woman was quietly taking everything from him. Eventually, Daniel discovered the truth. His properties were no longer his. His bank accounts were nearly empty. His investments were controlled by Vanessa. He confronted her. "You stole everything from me." Vanessa laughed. "I didn't steal anything. You manipulated me. And you manipulated your first wife." Daniel went silent. Vanessa stepped closer. "You taught me that people are useful only while they serve you." Daniel was furious. "This is my house." Vanessa pointed toward the door. "Not anymore. You can't throw me out." "I can." She called the security guards. "Get him out." Daniel looked around in disbelief. "You're doing this to me?" Vanessa smiled coldly. "You did worse to someone who loved you." The guards escorted him outside. He spent the night at a friend's house. But his friends refused to help him. "You chose this life," one of them said. "We can't keep saving you." Another friend closed the door. And suddenly, Daniel understood what loneliness really felt like. The man who once believed he owned everything now owned nothing. He slept wherever he could. He begged strangers for food. Eventually, he returned to the streets. Months passed. Then one afternoon, Evelyn's driver was taking Evelyn and Amara home. Traffic was terrible. The car stopped. Amara looked through the window. A man was standing beside the road asking people for money. Something about him looked familiar. She stared harder. Her breathing changed. "Stop the car." Evelyn looked at her. "What happened?" Amara couldn't speak. She pointed toward the man. "That?" Her voice trembled. "That's Daniel." Evelyn looked at him. The man was thinner. His clothes were torn. His face was exhausted. But it was him. The husband who had once thrown Amara into the rain. The man who had given her $20. The father of her child. Evelyn asked quietly, "Do you want to leave?" Amara didn't answer. She looked at Daniel. And for the first time, she realized something. She was no longer the helpless woman he had abandoned. She had survived. She had built a life. And she had become someone he could never have imagined. Daniel saw the luxury car stop. He walked toward it slowly. Then the door opened. Amara stepped out. Daniel froze. His mouth opened, but no words came. "You." Amara stood silently. Daniel looked at her clothes. Her confidence. The expensive car behind her. Then he looked at Evelyn. He suddenly understood. "You're alive." Amara nodded. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "And our child." Amara looked at him. "He's fine. Can I see him?" There was a long silence. Daniel stepped closer. "I thought you were gone forever." Amara's voice was calm. "I was gone. You don't understand." "No," she replied. "You don't understand." Daniel lowered his head. "I made a mistake." "A mistake?" "I was stupid." "You were cruel." Daniel began crying. "I know. You humiliated me." "I know. You chose another woman while I was carrying your child." "I know. And you gave me $20 and told me I wasn't worth one." Daniel covered his face. "I regret it every day." Amara watched him quietly. For years, she had imagined this moment. She had imagined him begging. She had imagined herself screaming. But standing there, she felt something completely different. Peace. Daniel dropped to his knees. "Please forgive me." Amara stepped back. "I have forgiven you." Daniel looked up hopefully. "Then come back." Amara shook her head. "No. Please. I forgive you because I don't want to carry hatred anymore." Daniel grabbed her hand. "I'm alone." Amara gently pulled her hand away. "You chose that. I have nobody. You had me." Daniel began sobbing. "I didn't know what I had." Amara looked toward the car. Evelyn was waiting quietly. Then Amara turned back. "Our paths separated the day you threw me out of that house." Daniel shook his head. "I can change." "I hope you do. Then give me another chance." Amara's eyes softened. But her answer remained firm. "No." Daniel stared at her. "Why?" "Because forgiveness does not mean returning to the place where you were broken." The words silenced him. Amara continued. "I once thought I couldn't survive without you." She smiled sadly. "But I survived." "I once thought losing you meant losing everything." She looked at Evelyn. Then I discovered that sometimes losing the wrong person is how you find your life. Daniel lowered his head. Amara turned away. He called after her. Amara. She stopped. Thank you for forgiving me. She looked back one final time. I didn't forgive you for you, Daniel. She paused. I forgave you for me. Then she walked toward the car. Evelyn opened the door for her. Before getting inside, Amara looked once more at the man sitting beside the road. There was sadness in her eyes. But there was no regret. The car drove away. Daniel watched until it disappeared into traffic. He finally understood the cruelest truth of his life. The $20 he had once thrown at Amara were never the price of her worth. They were the price of his own foolishness. Because he had lost a woman who loved him when he had nothing. And years later, when he had nothing left, she was the one person who could have saved him. But she chose not to. Not because she was heartless, but because she had finally learned that love should never require a person to destroy themselves. And as the city lights disappeared behind the car window, Amara held her son's hand and whispered, "We are going home." This time, she knew exactly where home was. But this time, Amara did not look back. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is not watching someone suffer. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply becoming happy without them. And sometimes, the strongest goodbye is the one you give after finally learning your own worth. And that was the story of Amara, a woman who lost everything, only to discover her own strength. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. And tell us in the comments, would you have forgiven Daniel? We'll see you in the next story.